seconds and counting.
What's up, guys? Drew here, and welcome back to Clutch City Entertainment. And today we will be talking about the Houston Texans. As you know, as we went over in our last video, the Texans have fired their head coach, Lovie Smith, after one season with just a record of 3-13-1. So, what does that mean? What are the Texans going to be doing next? And today we got some news on the situation as they have requested to interview with 5 coaches. And these coaches are all really big name coaches, young coaches, coaches that are going to bring scheme, energy, and excitement to the Texans organization and the fans. So the first candidate that we heard about today, this was an individual story, and it was Ben Johnson, the Lions offensive coordinator. I know a lot of people were tuning into the Lions game against the Packers on Sunday Night Football on Sunday. And we saw, the Lions offense is creative. I had some really cool trick plays, one at the end with a little, those kind of screen passes, laterals, whatever. You saw a flea flicker to Jamo, or a touchdown that was called back. But to me, what stands out is just the way that the Lions offense has progressed through the entire season. I mean, the Lions, obviously, they got off to a rough start this season. And things weren't looking so good, but they ended up finishing with a record of 9-8. That's insanely impressive. The Lions offense that was, called by Ben Johnson, they finished 5th in points per game, 4th in total yards, and he's going to be interviewing with the Texans most likely for their vacant head coaching position. To me, he's implemented a really creative run scheme in Detroit that needs to be talked about a lot more. Ben Johnson is one of the brightest young minds in football. One of the next guys the Texans requested an interview was Demko Ryan's. Pretty sure everyone knows who that is. Former Texans linebacker, current defensive coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. And to keep it frank, Demko Ryan's is coaching the best defense in the entire NFL. The 49ers defense has been fantastic all season long. Injuries and whatnot in the last 2 years have not phased Demko Ryan's at all. He has coached a unit, and they are a huge reason why they're heading into the playoffs on absolute fire. One thing I will talk about, though, is a report that we've heard multiple times from NFL insider and someone who I respect a lot, Aaron Wilson. He has kind of come out and said that Demko Ryan's is not interested in the Texans' head coaching position. He hasn't given any specific reason why. We do know that Demko Ryan sued the NFL and maybe the Texans in 2014 for an injury that happened in NRG. It may have affected his career a little bit there. Maybe he's stingy about that. Maybe he isn't really close with the McNair family. He knows a lot about the McNair family, but the question is, does he want to work for the McNair family? So that is going to be a key issue there. But the request is in. If they get to interview Demko Ryan's, hopefully they can hash those things out because Demko Ryan's is a great candidate. And then we have another one for Shane Steichen, the Eagles offensive coordinator. A little background behind Shane Steichen. He was the offensive coordinator for Justin Herbert's rookie year. That's just something that will immediately stand out because, that's very, very, very impressive for the work he was able to do. Justin Herbert had a historic rookie season in his first season in LA with Shane Steichen calling those plays. And then after that, Shane Steichen, when there were staff changes in Los Angeles, he went to work for Nick Sirianni as their offensive coordinator. And look at what he has done with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts' explosion this year, the creativity of the offense has just been awesome. They've created a very, very, very unique running scheme, just like Ben Johnson. They can run the ball many different ways. Obviously, Jalen Hurts has an impact in that, but Shane Steichen, a quarterback whisperer, great play caller. The Eagles finished 3rd in total yards on offense, 5th in rushing, and 3rd in points per game. So that's a very intriguing option, to say the least there. And another Eagles guy is Jonathan Gannon. I'm sure everyone remembers him as well. The Eagles defensive coordinator who interviewed with the Texans twice last offseason. It was reported that Nick Caserio wouldn't let Gannon fill out his staff. I guess Nick Caserio wanted some input on there, and they could never really come to a conclusion on that contract. But they were working on a contract at one point for Gannon to become the next head coach of the Texans, but it did fall through. This year, it's even more intriguing because one of Gannon's mentors and good friends, Frank Reich, the Colts head coach, is set to pretty much become the potential offensive coordinator of a Jonathan Gannon led staff. So that is something very interesting. Could see Mike Zimmer. Gannon worked for the Vikings at a time under Zimmer. Zimmer could potentially become the defensive coordinator on a Gannon staff. So right there, that screams a fantastic hire. Something about Jonathan Gannon, and I've done a lot of research on Gannon, over the past year when he was potentially going to be hired. Watched a lot of videos, read a lot of articles, and he was described in a very good manner. Things you hear about him is he's a student of the game, detail oriented, analytical, eye for talent. He was a scout at one point. This guy went from scout to coach, and he's done a fantastic job. He's very enthusiastic. He's tough. He's a straight shooter. He's going to be energetic, smart guy. Someone even said Vrabel type coach. That's good. Mike Vrabel's been so successful for the Titans. And he kind of reminds me a lot of Nick Caserio too, and just the way he speaks and the way he's been described. So if you want Nick Caserio 2.0, which personally I wouldn't mind, but you can be scared of it, or you can just go all in and see if Gannon was really just that missing piece of the operation, and that Nick and the guy that would work really, really well with RGM Nick Caserio. And the last guy the Texans requested interview was Avero, the Broncos defensive coordinator. He's the oldest person the Texans will be potentially interviewing at the age of 42. Avero worked for the Rams under Sean McVay as a defensive coordinator, but I mean, working for Sean McVay, obviously has had its impact over the years. He's a very smart guy, creative guy, and he could add kind of an interesting modern element to the Texans organization. And obviously these are, 5 great candidates. Will they all interview the Texans? We do not know at this time. These are just requests for interviews. Hopefully they all go through. Even Demko Ryan's, which is very uncertain at this time. Hopefully they all go through. Hopefully they all interview, talk to the McNairs, talk to Nick Caserio, and kind of allows Nick Caserio to really, really, truly pick the best candidate. This whole process needs to be more fluid. Obviously there's no Josh McCown, there's no Hines Ward, there's no Marvin Lewis type guy, Jim Caldwell being interviewed here. We're going for a young guy and a smart guy and an up and coming name, and someone who, without a doubt, is going to be a head coach at some point in time. These are all great candidates. Hopefully the requests go through. Hopefully all of them interview, and we will find out more in the coming days. So drop your favorite Texans head coaching candidate down below in the comments. I really want to see who you guys want, and that's going to be it for today's video. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.